Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmaster series. This is the fourth round at the Marshall Labor Day GM Norm Round Robin. It's the fourth round, and it is the fourth tournament back in action. Tournament has started in a, less than desirable fashion, with half a point out of three, 2 losses and a draw. All the games have been very topsy-turvy. And now in the fourth round, I am playing somebody who I know quite well. I know actually probably about half the players in this tournament well. I've played at least half of them. But this individual is a good friend of mine. We've played training games in the past, and we know each other's openings pretty well. We know each other's playing styles pretty well. So it's kind of an interesting game because it's a game you want to win to start the tournament comeback. And he's having a good tournament. He has 2.5 out of 3. He made a draw. He won a couple of games. And going into this game, I was, even though I was half out of 3, I was like excited to play. I was confident. And let me show you the game. I will show you the game now. He opened with e4. Kyron's an e4 player. He also dabbled in the Caro-Kann for a little bit, but he mostly goes Sicilian. So I played c6. And generally, Kyron is playing knight c3, the classical Caro-Kann. And then obviously, black can play bishop f5, knight f6, or knight d7. But he played knight to f3, knight c3. Now, what's funny is I predicted that he would play this because it's a bit easier to steer the game. Also, it's just a good system. Like, you've seen it on this channel before. The very first game back in action against Tomas Sosa, I had this, and I won that game, but, that doesn't mean the opening is bad. And then I had this position against Danila Polyanikov again in the second tournament back in action. So before the tournament, I prepared a system with bishop to g4, which I played against Tomas. And then in this position, not e6, and what I've played here, I have played like bishop c5, knight e7, knight d7, etc. The system that I prepared begins with knight to f6. And now, depending on his setup, I would choose a setup with black. He went g3, which is, I think, a bit of an older line. Like, I think nowadays people are putting the bishop on e2. And then they're trying to prepare the f4 pawn push with like d3 and moving the queen somewhere. But he played g3, which is a good system. I think it's an older system, if I'm not mistaken. And black has several options. Option 1 is you can just trade everything and play like queen d5, e6. Just play like this rock-solid formation, but white has the 2 bishops and basically an open board to use them. So it's, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a play for a draw opening. I find it's quite difficult to do anything here. What I prepared in advance was this move e5. And it's a very different way of playing the position. You're trying to take the center and completely kick his knight out. I think best for white is to technically take on d5, but it's kind of difficult to surrender the entire center here. For example, I would play e4. You would play like queen e2. I would play knight c6 and try to go here. This is not an easy position to play, like bishop b4, d3. I can even castle, takes. I'll take on c3, takes, rook e8 ideas. Messy. Very messy. So he played bishop g2. He spent some time, so we spent 8 minutes developing his bishop. And I played d4, and he went knight to d1. Now, at this point, I'm pretty happy because I know a couple of things about this position. Number 1, his knight is technically supposed to go to b1. I don't know why. That's up to me to figure out during the game. But I think it's because the knight is better placed on d2 and maybe c4, pressuring my center, and also d2 and maybe f3. And this is the way you generally play the King's Indian. Like, his position is basically a King's Indian. But he went knight d1, and right away I'm thinking, that's not where the knight goes. Why is the knight there? Because where's he putting it next? Right? Like, if he ever plays c3, I'm going to play c5, knight c6. So I realized, okay, he wants to play like queen e2, d3, f4, and the knight is going to come out over here. So now I need to come up with a plan. I play knight to a6. I mean, I guess I could have also gone to d7, but my idea was to maybe go to b4 as well, so I played knight a6. I thought it was reasonable. The engine really wants me to just take space on this side of the board. So for example, d3, it really likes the position after a4. Yeah, that's kind of an engine thing, you know? I didn't know if I wanted to commit the pawn because I had a feeling I wanted to castle queenside. If he wants to attack me, I wanted to start an attack back. So I was like, do I put the pawn on a4? Do I not put the pawn on a4? I don't know. I didn't play a4. I played knight a6. He castled, and I played knight c5, attacking this pawn. He went d3. I liked my knight here more than I liked my knight standing on d7 because I thought I could rotate it back. I also thought about playing a5 in this position to prevent b4. But again, I wasn't sure because I kind of want my king here, and I'm not sure this is doing me any favors if I want the king on the queen side. So d3. And here I spent time because I remembered somewhere in my notes that white likes the position if there's a pawn on g4. As you can see from the evaluation bar, that's not here. But I just remember somewhere I analyzed something, and this is the problem really with modern day preparation. I analyzed something, and in some positions, you play h5. That's what I played in the game. I spent 10 minutes, and I was like, I think it's here. And simply the point is I want to play h4, completely walling in the bishop. And now, you know, I basically want to tell him, look, you could go ahead and play f4. I'm going to play, like, here, or let's say bishop d6. And yay, I don't know how you're ever getting this bishop out. Like, I have no idea. So he played h4. And now the bishop is coming here, but I wasn't concerned because I was just simply going to play queen d7. And now I expected the plan of queen e2, f3, knight f2, bishop h3. And I was going to play bishop d6, queen c7, and start, you know, some sort of attack. And then he went here. And then I castled, and he played king h2. And here I did something really bad, which you know, when you're having a bad tournament, I wouldn't know. I haven't had one in a while. Italy is nothing compared to this. You do a lot of stupid things, and like every game, I have managed a way to do that. Even though every game I'm sitting down and I'm like, it's a fresh game, just play your best. So, of course, I play knight g4 check because, again, his plan is to do this. And what I'm thinking here is like, okay, I went here, right? So now he can play bishop h3. And for example, I don't have knight takes f2 check, trying to take his bishop because he takes with the knight, right? But I also was like, why is the king on h1? Like, what, I mean, isn't this just an improvement for me? Well, I thought for a little bit here. I wanted to make a move like here, or even retreating. But what I did is I just quickly went back because I didn't understand what he was doing. I was like, he put his king on h1. But, you know, I want to attack here anyway, so why is the king there? It's like further away from the board. Is he going to repeat moves? I was like, does he not like his position? Like, what's going on? And he repeated. Now, yeah, this is a very famous trick to play in chess. The threat of the repetition. Because, you know, and I played knight g4. Again, I spent some time. 4 minutes to play knight g4 is not good. I mean, I have no other move. And now I spent a lot of time. I don't even remember how much time I spent, but I remember it was like a blur. Here I couldn't think straight at all. Like, I had no clue what he was doing. I felt like what he was doing was not good because it just felt like he was fueling my position. I really wanted to not repeat moves. Like, the move that I was considering here was knight h6. This gives up a pawn, but it opens up my h file. Then I looked at f6. Okay, to try to play g5. Then I looked at g6, giving up all the pawns. Then I looked at bishop d6. Slowly, just playing to you know, knight e6. I looked at a lot of things here. I mean, I guess there's bishop e7, and if he takes f6, and then his queen is almost getting trapped, I guess. And then I'm playing for g5. So I really wanted to play knight h6. The computer here just says, go knight e6. The reason why I didn't want to leave my knight here is because I thought he's dominating the diagonal. But you know what the computer says? Yeah, let him have it. And maybe if the tournament was going better, my instinct would be stronger. But yeah, I can just let him take this pawn. And like, when you put all the moves on the board, of course you let him take the pawn. Look at this. I even said it. There's a king opposite my rook. g5, g6, f5. Like, how is he going to stop my attack? He can't play his one plan now because I take, and he can't take because his pawn. H4, g5, black wins. I mean, even I can take, right? Like, when you make the pieces sitting here at home or on the chess.com events page, it's so much easier to move those pieces. And for me, when I've been sitting in the tournament hall, I don't know. I'm just staring at the board, and then I'm thinking all the wrong things. Now here I played knight f6 back after 12 minutes. And basically the mental gymnastics are like, why is he repeating moves? He's repeating moves, maybe he doesn't like his position. But then it's like, but maybe he's repeating moves to play this trick on me. Maybe he has no plans of repeating moves. He wants me to think here. He wants me to spend all this time. That was the correct one. But I was like, why would he do that? He's my friend. Why would you play psychological warfare on your friend? I guess there's no friends in chess. I don't know. So I went back. And yeah, part of it is like, why would I burn? I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't play these moves. I have no idea. I was like, okay, we'll repeat. And then he plays f3. So now I'm down 30 minutes on the clock, and he didn't repeat moves. But here, I started playing really fast because I was like, oh, yeah? You think you're going to, like, okay. So I went here. He played knight f2. I quickly played king b8, got my king off the diagonal. He went here, I went here. And I really liked my position. I was like, I got 40 minutes to play this position. Let's go. So he goes c3. Now, what I wanted to play here from a distance was knight e6, which is what I ended up playing. And I played it fast. You see, I didn't go below 38 minutes. It's because it's the move I prepared from a distance. Another thing that I saw here was that maybe I can take and play knight h7 and prepare g5. That's pretty gangster. I'm not really even sure how he stops that, to be honest. The computer says rook b1. This is, I guess, the only problem is that I'm opening up my own front of attack. But yeah, g5 is a juicy move, not g6. g5. And he can strike in the center. I would have to find knight a4. He would go here attacking my knight. I would have to come back. It's really not clear what's happening here. It's a lot of chaos. When I played knight e6, I thought the good thing is he's going to have to give up the bishop. Like, his bishop is pretty good. And he can't take and let my knight go to d4. That would be terrible, as you can see. So, bishop e6, queen e6, we trade. And he can't quickly play f4 because I thought even simply knight g4 and a position like this is nice for black. Like this is like decent for black. But even I don't have to rush with that. And I just kind of thought, like, the position's nice. Knight e6, takes. Like, we make this trade, and I've equalized. Like, I'm equalized. I mean, the position is equal, but also the time advantage is kind of dwindling. Like, I'm gaining momentum, right? And so he went king g2, and I played knight d5. Again, pretty quickly. I like this move. My knight has no future here. It's not doing anything. So maybe I could have played knight d7. I didn't really understand all the maneuvers of the position, but I went knight d5, and I was maybe going knight b4. I also had another idea to maybe play like bishop c3, bishop c5, and knight e3 check. Just get in there. Also f6, rook g8, g5 ideas. So overall, I was pretty happy, and I played the last like 5-6 moves very fast, 7 moves very fast after that stupid repetition. So I felt momentum, was on my side, and I was back in the game. And now, again, I had many options here. I played f6. I spent quite a bit of time on this move. I mean, it was obvious that he was trying to bring the knight. He was trying to play f4. I kind of wanted to play c5, but I wasn't sure, like, do I need to safeguard the center? I calculated some lines with the knight going to b4. Not now, because there is no other jump. But I also looked at f5 here. I didn't know if I should let his knight in and then try to kick it out. I didn't know. So I played f6. I mean, I settled on f6. He played f4. And this is where the game went downhill, right here. So originally my plan in this position, first of all, what I identified as his plan was obviously to play f5. Or queen f3 first, and then f5. And after he plays f5, he's gonna play knight on f4, right? That's how he's gonna use that transfer point for his pieces. So originally I thought something like bishop c7, queen f3, knight b4, attacking this pawn, a3, knight c2. I saw all these crazy lines. For example, I can play like this, which is really wild. Knight b4 also attacks the pawn at a2. But in general, I understood that the point was f5. So I thought, what if I play f5? I let his knight go to g5, and then I would play queen e8. He can't take because of the pin. And if he goes e5, I'm going to try to get rid of his knight. This is what I was thinking. And the point is, I have a fantastic knight versus bishop. Like, my knight is great, right? So I thought about f5. And then I thought about g6. So I thought about g6. The reason I couldn't bring myself to play the move g6 is I started feeling like if he ever plays f5 successfully and puts a rook on f5, I was having a really tough time evaluating that this position was good for me or not. And the point is that I have to go g6 if and only if I combine it with knight to e7. Because knight e7 stops the rook from coming to f5. So I play in a way where I don't ever let him play f5. He can't play f5. Like, if he plays queen f3 to try to play f5, I play c5. If he plays f5, this is not the f5 that he wants because he gets a pawn there and everything is blocked. And now I have counterplay on the g file. So in a nutshell, the question is, do I want him to just play f5, or do I want to play g6, potentially weaken my pawn structure, leave 2 isolated pawns, get a little bit of counterplay on the g file? I didn't consider g6 with knight to e7 stopping f5. That plan, I was looking at more active prospects for my knight, but I probably should have just been simply thinking to shut down his play. Also, here's something happened, which, yeah, there's really no way to talk about this like it's some sort of excuse, but it is kind of a humorous thing. It's something I have to deal with, so I'm going to get it off my chest. We're playing in a, chess club. There's obviously other people there. There's, small tournaments going on. There's big signs, massive signs that say no spectators for various reasons. Small room. You don't want players to get distracted. Also, spectators, like, they don't have to have their phone. Like, when you're playing in the tournament, you put your phone away. Spectators can just come in with their phones. Like, they could watch the game with their smartphone because they don't know what the evaluation is. So there's no spectators allowed. So as I'm sitting here thinking for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a guy walks in, a dad. I mean, he looks like a dad. And I'm playing by the door, and what he does is he literally just pulls out his phone and like pretends to be reading it while taking photos of me and recording me, like just like this. Grown man. And you know, that's like, I get it. People are excited to see me. I appreciate the support from the audience, but it was at this exact position, like very critical position. This dude's just standing there like with his phone like this, just like filming me. I don't know what he's doing. And I looked at him. Like I just stared at him because I was like, dude. And I just stared at the guy, and I swear he didn't get the hint. He put the phone down and went like this. I'm like a zoo animal to some people. I don't know. Like so the move that I played in the position after thinking, I played bishop c7, which was wrong. It was the wrong plan. It was a bit of a waiting move. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should play g6 or not. And yeah, this move doesn't really improve my position. I mean, a lot of moves have been like this. Like a lot of moves during the game of this tournament, I've played these moves. And then when I'm analyzing, I'm like, why did I play this move? Now, I think I had an idea, right? My idea was, again, I want to play knight e3. I thought about bishop c5, but here there's a really funny move, which is queen c2, and my knight hangs, and my bishop is hanging. So I can't play it. The engine finds some calculation here. Like, apparently he can't go here because I have rook d3. I'm not going to sacrifice a piece and turn the game into chaos. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go here, and this is my plan. So he plays f5. I go here, threatening mate. He plays knight f4. That was really stupid. I don't know why I played queen e5. Like, why didn't I just go queen e7? The point is that after takes, bishop takes, like, at least I can trade bishops. I was a bit concerned that maybe he would take with the pawn, and then basically he's going to attack me on the g file, and somehow I don't have any counterplay. Like, g6 just never works now because of this. This is tragic. Queen e5 was so stupid because now I have to move my queen again. I just lost time. And basically from this point forward, I played like a 2000 rated player. Like, no disrespect, but y'all are not the best. You think you're the best, but you're not the best. Yeah, but from this point forward, I just played like an idiot. I did not understand the position. I thought it was like okay, and then at some point it hit me that it was not okay. So queen a5. He goes here. Very nice move, by the way. Very nice idea. If I take, he's gonna take. I thought he was gonna take with the rook, but I guess he can just take with the bishop. But yeah, this endgame is. I guess I quickly organized counterplay here, but queen d2 was a nice move. I thought I couldn't trade, and then he just improved his position. This is very instructive how he played. I went bishop e5 because I didn't like the prospect that my king would have to sometimes take if my queen left. I also didn't want to take because, again, I thought I'm giving him the g file. Also thought I'm giving him activity, so I went bishop e5. And the idea is always to take with the rook, at which point, you know, I was happy. But the position's always bad. Position's just straight up always bad. Then I went here because I needed to play quickly because I only had 13 minutes on the clock because I spent 20 minutes repeating moves. And now he can take. And I can't take with the rook because if I take with the rook, he's going to win my pawn, which the computer still thinks is okay, by the way. Like, not okay, but it thinks that this is not the end of the world. It actually thinks giving up the pawn is better than what I did in the game, which is this. And now he plays rook c5, queen g5, and now he can do whatever he wants. And I simply didn't realize how paralyzed my position is. I have a weakness here, I have a weakness here, I have a weakness here. I can never trade queens because I let him walk the pawn down, and while I play defense on the pawn, this rook eats everything else. And yeah, he just plays b5. I can't stop him. I have no way to stop the rest of the game from happening. I couldn't believe it. Like, I really did. It didn't occur to me how bad the position was. Now there is an attack coming down this side of the board, and there's still pressure everywhere else. Very nice idea, retreating, playing rook a5. Here I actually thought I was out of the woods. Rook e8, rook a5, and here I was like, nice, I'm going to make a run for it. He's going to go here, king d7, rook takes, king takes. It's still +4, by the way, which is crazy. But he played a nice move here, which is rook d5, and now I can't escape at all. I went king b8. I thought the simplest thing here by far was to go queen a5 and just win this endgame. Thought this was like very nice for white, but he played queen d1, so he's simultaneously threatening this, just kind of a nice attack. And he breaks in, he takes, he grabs a pawn with check. My position totally fine. It's very nice. He like beats me on one side of the board, the other side of the board, and the game ends in a very funny way because my king goes for a jog. My king goes, all right, I'm gonna head out. King c5. He can prevent this from happening, but instead he enjoys the memes with me, and he runs the king down all the way to the edge of the board. Here, the best thing that I can do is sacrifice my queen for the rook somehow. For example, queen f7, rook a2, here, and this. But this is also losing. But, you know, maybe he will survive. He will survive. I will survive. But this should just be losing because there's queen e1, queen d1, rook c2. And what's funny is that here I have to play king b6 and like this. But I went king b4, and it's mate in 4. Check here. And by the way, yes, at any given moment, he could have won my queen. But instead, we play to a mate. You know, he's a friend. I got to let him checkmate me. Always let your friends mate you. Yeah. Phrasing. So, we have half out of 4. I don't know how that happened. I really don't know how that happened. Everything was going fine in the opening. Then the first idiotic moment was this repetition. And I mean, already that set kind of a bad tone for the game, considering apparently even, you know, I have a nice position. There's really no point in repeating. Yeah, it set a bad tone for the game. And then I made a, you know, little bit of a psychological comeback. I played a lot of moves very quickly, kind of got a nice equal battle here. And yeah, just picked the wrong plan, misevaluated the position, and just lost. Like, just got outplayed. Not sure what to do with this information, but what I will say is that I'm not really sure what to say. It's, yeah, I wrote a tweet, which was basically like, maybe the last month I've been lying to myself a little bit. Like, I've been I haven't worked as hard. Like, I haven't done enough calculation exercises and stuff. And maybe this is just you know, chess gods punishing me, and I just got to get back to work, because every game I've shown up positive. It's not like I'm showing up with some sort of dread and like psychologically defeated from the beginning, but every game I found a way to do something stupid. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure there are reasons, but I don't know what they are. So at this point, gotta try to end the tournament as best as possible. Gotta try to end the tournament with something, you know. And my 2 worst tournaments of my life have been GM Norm round robins in New York City. I don't know. Maybe I just, you know, struggle to play high stakes tournaments at home. But the last one I got 8 out of 9. It was an I am Norm round robin, but yeah, kind of nuts. Don't know. But the road to success is not linear, you know? So will be ups and downs. I'll see you all for the next rounds. Get out of here.